This podcast is brought to you by Vizard.ai and by Stevie Wicks.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Hi, hello everybody, and welcome to the Your Broadway World Podcast. Today we have Jackie Vetter with us. We're going to talk about what musical theater's like in your state, right?
I don't typically do musical theater.
Oh, you don't?
I produce new plays.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, now it's been a while since we talked about it, so I'm trying to refresh my memory.
Oh yeah. No, I've ran two different theater companies out here, and my current company that I founded workshops and produces new writers from all over the country, but we do also focus on Montana writers.
So for to
Yeah.
start us off. For anyone meeting you for the first time, how do you usually describe what you do?
Yeah, so I usually say that I'm an actor and a theater maker. I mostly produce theater. I do a little bit of directing, but the
Mm,
company that I founded, Anaconda Ensemble Theater, which is located in this really small rural town that I live in now. I've got
mm,
my nice logo swag on. Um, we focus on small, intimate workshop readings of new plays, and then we also fully produce
mhm,
new work that are world premieres typically, or
mm,
things that have never been premiered in Montana.
mhm,
So that is kind of our focus as far as what we do. And as far as me as a human being, I kind of work all over the state as an actor, and also trying to expand out. I work in Seattle a little bit. But yeah, I like investing in our local artists. There's so many great actors and directors here. And so for me, that's really exciting to explore who's here and producing their work. Yeah.
Was theater always the plan for you, or did it just sneak up on you?
It was like an in and out situation. I've been doing theater since I was 6 or 7 years old. I remember distinctly my mom taking me to a community theater production of Guys and Dolls, and that's what like got me really
Mm,
excited. I
mm,
loved that show.
mm,
And I did theater all through elementary school, high school, community theater, after school programs, and then in
mm,
my theater drama department. And then I was going to be practical,
mm.
right? And so I went to school to get a psychology degree, and then the theater department found me,
Yeah.
and started bringing me like change of change of major paperwork
Mm,
to be like, no, we want you. And I'm like, okay. But by that point, I actually was so far into my
yeah.
psychology degree that I didn't feel like I could leave that behind. So
Mm,
I decided to get both degrees. So I have a BA in acting from Slippery Rock University, which is a
mm,
real place, and now is a BFA program, which is so funny to me. They didn't have a BFA option when I was there 1.5 years ago. And so yeah, I think around the age of 21 is when I actually decided I
yep.
wanted to do this for a living, but it was
Mm,
definitely something that I always did and enjoyed for many years. I don't know, I think we do a better job of it now, but I don't feel like, I'm 39, and I feel like when I was growing up, yeah, you saw people in media, right? You see celebrities, but you don't really understand the tiers of what's
yeah.
available to you and what jobs exist. Like, I didn't know like you see people running theater companies, but you're like, I don't know what that means. So yeah, I think so I guess in some ways it did sneak up on me a little bit,
Yeah.
but not in the way I anticipated, I guess.
Mhm.
And this running theater companies definitely snuck up on me. I moved out here 10 years ago, and I didn't even think that it was something I could do. So,
Yeah.
which is, but yeah, definitely sneaky for sure. It does, I think it
Yeah.
sneaks up on a lot of us, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. So then for just for my viewers, and me, because I don't know what year. What exactly is a, can you describe what BFA is? What BFA
Oh,
is?
yeah, absolutely. So I have a BA, which is a Bachelor's of Arts, and a BFA is a Bachelor of Fine Arts. It's just considered a more advanced, higher level degree. It usually is a program where you have to audition to be in either at the beginning of the programming or, the University of Montana here has a
Mm.
BFA program, and you can get it, you can basically just sign up for the BA, to my understanding, and then 2 years in, you have to audition to be in the BFA.
Mm.
And so if you don't get into the BFA, it's not like you don't finish your degree, you just end up graduating with a BA.
Yeah.
Yeah, just considered a little more advanced. And I think there's like an accreditation process to be able to have that. So my university didn't have that when I went there. But
Mhm.
they almost had a sneaky way of weeding people out. They'd be like, you'd be a great stage manager. And so I actually only graduated with 3 people
Yeah.
from my program when I think I started out with like 20 people. So I always feel grateful that I didn't get, I mean, honestly, I've ended up doing everything anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, I was never told to not act. So I got an acting degree.
If you're told not to act, then that's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. I think, well, and some of the people who got skewed into other avenues, like they were consistently off Broadway as lighting designers. So like they have great careers. So I feel like part of that was the faculty looking at people's strengths. And it never
Yeah.
was in a mean way. I hear so many terrible things about universities. I don't have any of them.
Yeah.
I feel terrible for people who had really bad experiences because mine was not like that at all. I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay, well, I graduated and I'm doing what I signed up to do.
Yeah.
But so many people, I mean, and honestly, the most successful people came out of that program were people who
Yep.
were redirected, and it's pretty incredible. So there's a lot of us from that program who are still working, and they're great faculty, still are. Shout out Slippery Rock University, an affordable state school in Pennsylvania.
I've never been to Pennsylvania. I really want to go to Pennsylvania so bad.
It's really pretty. It really
Is
is.
it?
Yeah, especially if you drive along 80 through the Appalachian Mountains. It's
Yeah.
stunning. I mean, I grew up in Ohio and my whole family is from Jersey. So we always did that trek across PA pretty much once or twice a year. So I'm very
Mm,
familiar with it. It's very pretty, especially in the fall. So if you're gonna go, do the fall.
okay. Yeah.
Hot tip.
I mean, we're planning to go to Disney in like February or even in next fall. I don't know yet, but I'm doing Disney first, and then I'll probably go to Pennsylvania.
Perfect, perfect.
Uh, so when you look back at the early days of your career, what felt like your first real "this is actually happening" moment?
Whew. Um, there's a couple things that stand out to me. I had been working, I worked with a company called Main Stages, which does still exist. It's out of Astoria, New York. And that's where I was living. And I was doing after school programs, and I had been doing summer camps in Michigan for a while, which is kind of the start of my kind of children's theater career, which is kind
Mm,
of petered off a little bit. I still work with young people here and there, but not as consistently. And when I got back from a gig, of
mm,
course, typical thing a New York actor does, I went back to my temp job and I was working like a secretary job at some high rise on Fifth Avenue. And I saw a casting call for a Nell and Still Magnolias in Nantucket at the theater workshop. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna apply for this. I've already played a
mm,
Nell once. So this was back in 2015. And I was like, I've already played another once, why don't I apply again? And it was a replacement because someone had quit and there was like 10 days of rehearsal left. And they literally cast me from my reel, my TV and commercial acting reel for a play. Because they're like, you seem funny and you've already done the role.
mm.
Let's just have you
Yeah.
do this. And so for me, it was that moment of just like feeling like the materials I had gathered had supported who I was as an actor. And so being able to like, I didn't quite get like just a straight offer because they didn't know who I
Mm.
was, but just being able to like be scooped up and then enveloped by that group of women, which is still one of my favorite projects I've ever done. That was definitely a big one. And then it just came out. It was filmed back in 2021, but the project that made me get my SAG card was a movie called Broke with Wyatt Russell. And being able to go do that role. And then I was on set with a kid that used to be one of my students. He was a PA. He just graduated high school, was going to college for film. And it was only it was a 2-page scene. It was super short, end of day, they're moving fast. And the kid, his name is Titan Rosencrantz. He lives in Chicago. He's a comedian now. He came up to me. He's like, "Hey, they need you outside for another shot." I go, "I don't have any more scenes." And he's like, "Yeah, they need you for a shot." And he brought me out for them to wrap me, which means that they're saying that it was my last scene of the day. And if everyone stood around and clapped for me, but it was cool to have one of my students do that for me. Like a former student be able to be, he like kind of tricked me into coming outside because I was just sitting inside waiting to be wrapped. And so
Yeah.
just those little moments I think are really cool. They give you like the sign that you're on the right path, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just really fun. So, and yeah, last night we just did, part of what my company does is workshop readings of new plays. And we just did one in a hostel in Anaconda last night and had a whole bunch of new patrons. And people were just like, wow, this is such a special experience. And so it's fun to hear, especially bringing people into theater spaces who typically don't see theater,
Mhm.
especially, small readings of new things has been really impactful for me in showing that I've always looked at new work, new musicals, new plays as very inaccessible to the general public because it feels
Mhm.
very heady and artsy to be like workshopping a play. But I do
Mhm.
think lay people want it.
Yeah.
They want to see the process
Yeah.
because the process is so mysterious. And when you unpack it, when they get to be part of the process, they really want to be. And so
Mhm.
that's been a really, really cool thing to see over the past couple of years is, the audience last night, it was, 20 people. 2 people were actually artists in Montana. The rest were just people in my community. And I love that. So it's fun to see those little moments of excitement for, I guess, what we do. And because sometimes I feel like, especially, with the way the world is today, it feels so insignificant. But if you can bring a small amount of joy to
Yeah.
people, I think that's really important. So yeah.
Mhm. Obviously, you've taken on so many different roles in the industry. What was that intentional, or did it grow organically?
I when I lived in New York, I just wanted to work. So I would, apply for anything I thought I had just like the tenacity to figure out.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite jobs in New York, I was a house manager for Forbidden Broadway and then a house manager at Ensemble Studio Theater. And those were some of my favorite jobs I ever had. And I started getting into teaching young people because I just went to like a group interview and they liked my
Mm.
energy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's never been something I like had pursued directly, but that's how I got into teaching and directing young people. And so and then when you run a small theater company with like a $200,000 budget, which is the first job I had out here, you kind of just do everything. So I learned about lighting and I learned about
Mm.
sound and I do a lot of sound design now and I learned about set building and how to
Mm.
brace things and then you learn about marketing and you learn about social media and you learn about design, you do learn about poster design just because, when
Mm.
finances are short, you kind of just have to do it all. And so I guess I've just been in that situation of having to figure it out. So it wasn't necessarily intentional, but I do think given who I am as a human and my leadership style, being running theater companies makes sense for me.
Yeah.
I'm very organized. I like timelines.
Yeah.
I like telling people like what we're doing. So producing is a really good place for me. But
Mm.
obviously acting's always my baby. And theater's always my baby. I do TV and film, but I love you can't tear theater away from me. I will love it forever and ever and ever.
Oh no, I'm the same way. Theater is my baby.
Oh my God.
I'm not an actor or anything, but I love theater so much that like it's my baby. It's my baby.
Well, and even seeing theater, so where I'm situated in Montana, I'm about an hour and a half from most of the major cities.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in the middle. Most people aren't going to drive 4 hours to see a play totally. But for
Hmm.
me, I can go to most of these places where there's more people and there's universities that are producing too. And
Hmm.
it's so cool to be where I am because I mean, I saw 15 shows last year and people are like, they're like, you're like the ultimate theater goer. And I'm like, I just want to see what people are doing. And I love seeing everyone's interpretations. People
Yeah.
are producing a lot of new plays here too. There's a lot of writers, especially in Missoula, and they have a huge writing scene, writing group. And so there's a lot of new stuff being produced. And as you know now, that is my baby is producing new stuff. So I love
Yeah.
seeing what people are working on. And There's a big production of Ragtime going up in Bozeman that they brought in some opera singers from some other markets, and I'm
Mm,
pumped to go see that, given Ragtime's playing in New York right
mm,
now. And yeah, I just excited to see what people do, and I think I just globally just love theater. I like reading it,
mm,
I like seeing it, I love
mm.
producing it. So yeah,
Yeah, I next on the 20th next week, I'm seeing Chicago for the first time
nice.
here in Michigan. Which, by
Oh,
the way,
nice.
I'm from Michigan. Since you mentioned Michigan,
Who's producing that?
Miller Auditorium in Kalamazoo.
Oh, nice.
Um, but yeah, I've only ever seen the movie. I've never seen the musical. I've seen the movie a bunch of times. And I love the movie. I love Rachel, whatever her name. What is her name? The blonde. I can't remember her name.
Honestly, I've never seen Chicago. I
You,
know.
wow,
I
Catherine
know.
Zeta-Jones is perfect as Val McKelly.
I know. I've just never seen it. I don't know. I just never have. Um, Rent was my musical movie. That was the one that I don't know. I've just never like really I never really got into Moulin Rouge either. I don't know why. I'm a little enigma.
I'm a little heartbroken by that.
Sorry.
Stop wasting your time on manually editing your videos. The secret AI tool will do the work for you. One of the best things about it is that it gives your video the potential to go viral. Visit this page, sign in, create a project by clicking on this button. Choose a video that you want to use. Click on the AI clip button. Wait for the magic. It is scanning through the video and looking for the parts that has the potential to go viral. Instead of editing the video by yourself, it does the work for you. It even generates headline and captions which fit your video. Another surprise is that they generate video description or social post for you to use. Once done, click Export to post.
But then speaking of Red, and I'm sorry if I'm going on a tangent, but
Oh no.
yeah, in my high school for my senior year, we had to do a slideshow of like your life and stuff, as a kid stuff, and have all these pictures in like a slideshow for like a school project or something. And I kid you not, I picked Seasons of Love for that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iconic. Of course you did.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it was the best project ever. I'm proud of this.
Yeah, for sure.
So then getting back to everything, is there something you do now that early career Jackie would have been shocked to know is part of your job?
Well, she would be, you're crazy for living in Montana. She would have never thought, I don't even think I knew where Montana was on a map when I applied for the job out here. She would be like, that's crazy. But and I've made a vow to myself this year to stop apologizing for where I live, because
Yeah.
for some reason I've decided, when you're in New York and then you leave, you kind of feel like you gave up for some reason. And
Hmm.
when I lived in New York, yeah, I booked a couple really cool things, but being able to sustain and even be seen by like bigger projects,
Hmm.
and the pandemic did change some of that as far as like accessibility for things.
Hmm.
I do believe that, and that's, such an unfortunate thing to have gone through as a country and the world, but because of that, we are able to be seen for things from far away.
Hmm.
Um, But I also been super fascinated when I lived in New York with like Utah theaters and Oregon theaters and Washington theaters, and now I have access to those. So it's like one of these weird things. It's like when I lived on the East Coast, no one ever wanted to give me a chance on the West Coast because I was so far away, and now I'm actually in proximity to these things. So I think that that's interesting. But I don't think that she would, I think that she would think younger Jackie would be like, I don't understand why you're doing all these other things. Why don't you just act? And I've always tell people, if you're good at multiple things, diversifying what you do to generate income is not a bad thing. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make me less of an actor because I also coach, because I also
Mm-hmm.
produce, because I also direct. None of
Mm-hmm.
those things negate the fact that I'm still an actor. But
Yeah.
I think that if you can find joy in other parts of the industry, it makes it
Mm-hmm.
so much more palatable when you're getting a bunch of no's, right? I still
Mm-hmm.
have things. I still have projects coming up. I have 5 readings I'm producing this year. So even if I get 1,000 no's this year for acting, I'm still contributing artistically to the community.
Yeah.
I think that reframe in my 30s
Mm-hmm.
has been super impactful to me. And I don't think
Eh,
freshly out of college, Jackie would agree with that at all. She'd be like, no, don't do that. But it makes me feel fulfilled. I love having things that I'm working on. And, I'm dabbling in writing a little bit too, which is exciting and different, and was
Yeah.
really scary to 18, 19-year-old Jackie. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I've grown a lot, but yeah, I always tell young people, I'm like, if there's anything else you'd like to do, even if it's just tearing tickets at a theater, even if it's house managing, even if it's just ushering shows, anything in the artistic space related to theater, being around theater is just going to make everything feel so much less heavy when you're getting a lot of rejection because that's what this career is, a lot of rejection. So,
Mm-hmm. And I can attest too, because I used to usher
mhm.
in my theater, and it is very rewarding, you know, and you're
Being in a
re
space with other theater goers, like
yeah,
seeing people get excited to see something that they've been waiting to see. Like there's
yeah.
so much excitement around live performance. And so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you also get rewarded by seeing a show for free, but
Sure. Yeah, that too. Definitely that.
so that's a plus.
Oh my God, I just realized I'm drinking out of an Ann Arbor mug.
Oh, cool! I never even knew that you made. Okay,
This is my brother-in-law is a co-owner of this distilling company in Ann Arbor.
oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
I
That's
didn't,
oh,
I didn't realize where you were located. I did not do that purposely. I just like this mug. And as you can see, I like it because it's very worn. It's got a good cup to coffee ratio. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
It's nice. And it's good
yeah,
hand feel. So yeah, I like this mug. So just a happy accident. It's a Michigan mug.
yeah. Love that. I love those happy accidents.
Mhm.
Uh, so then, what does a normal work day look like for you? Is it or it is normal not really a thing?
I would say normal is not really a thing, but I've been looking at my schedule for next week if you'd like a snapshot of what my week looks like next week. So I put myself in a class. So Monday morning at 11, you can tell I'm a Capricorn. I love planning. So
Yeah.
it is Capricorn season. So shout out to Capricorns. But yeah, so I have a class at 11. So I'll do that for a couple hours. And then I have to promote our workshop series that Anaconda Ensemble Theater is doing. We have some digital classes, some in-person classes. So I'm going to get that all promoted out.
Mhm.
And then I have a couple grants to write for my theater company as well that are coming open on Monday. So I'm going to do that. And so that's basically going to wrap up Monday. Tuesday, one of my side hustles is I do Rover. So I have some Rover clients on Tuesday, and then I'll probably wrap up anything that I've missed. I'm also doing a show in February. It's the same show that Anaconda Ensemble Theater just produced in November. It's called The Rope Trick, but we're taking it on tour. Some people wanted it at their other theaters in Montana. So I'm going to start working on my script so I can get back in that because I dusted those lines are way somewhere back in my psyche and I need to get them back. Wednesday, I have Rover again, probably more of the same. Thursday, Rover again, more of the same. And then Friday, I go into a planning meeting for a theater tour that I'm on with Montana Repertory Theater. We are going to Malta, Montana to do our project. And so this is our first tour site back since November. So we're doing a planning meeting on that Friday. So that's I mean, it's not kind of not the same every day. It just depends. And then the week after that, you know, I'll probably I try to focus on my own theater company when I'm home and here. And then, I go on the road. I'll be out of town February 1st through the 8th for my first go out of my tour State of Mind, which is, like I said, with Montana Repertory Theater. And so, yeah, and then I'll come back. And then that next week in February, I have a show in Butte. So, yeah, it's my week never really looks the same, just depending on what projects are coming in. And I kind of
Mhm.
like that. I like that it's never mundane. I get
Yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
very, it's always kind of different each week. And,
Mhm.
and I'm still applying for stuff that like shoots the week of the 22nd. So maybe I'll
Mhm.
book a job out of town. I don't know. You know what I mean? I never know.
Yeah.
It's hard, really. It's funny. I feel like I tell my husband, I'm like, if you want to plan family trips, put them in the calendar because I will just not
Yeah.
apply for stuff that
Yeah.
is windows. And we have a window in June that I've
Mm.
threatened to not to apply for any jobs. But it's just, it's hard to plan ahead, but then I do lock in like big family things or big things. I'm like waiting on my brother's wedding date right now. You know what I mean? Like I'll lock in big family things, but otherwise I kind of don't know
Yeah.
within like 30 days, like what is going to happen. It's kind of strange, but and for a planner, I plan for the unplannable. So I try to just stay on top of what I have to do for my own company so that I can even
Mm.
let things go for 10 to 14 days and nothing falls apart because my company's
Yeah.
just me. So I just have to keep things going. So yeah, so
Yeah.
typical day is never typical. I guess that's the
Yeah.
answer. It's just
I mean,
pure chaos.
at least it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I kept calling this past week my slush week because, the first full week after the holidays, I feel like everything just falls there.
Yeah.
And so I had all these meetings and I had all these like tasks that I was like, oh, I forgot I had to do this. And I guess now's the time. Let's just get it done. So last week it was a lot of catching up with things. And then we had a reading
Yeah.
night. So coordinating people and making sure everyone was where they needed to be. But
Yeah.
I like it. I like being busy and I like having I always say I can have like two main tasks at any
Yeah.
time and like a tertiary task that's like not in the frame. So I can always
Yeah.
be planning a third thing. More than that, it gets a little mucky for me. So
Mhm.
yeah, it gets a little gets a little dicey.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us can spread our attention that much. So
And yeah, I don't think that that's humanly possible.
yeah.
Yeah. If it is, then you gotta look in the
Superhero.
mirror.
One superhero.
You gotta
And
look
they
in the
have
mirror a
more
little bit.
Capricorn placements than I do because I've got 5. So they must be full 12
I'm
Capricorn.
a Scorpio, so what's that say about me?
I don't know. I love Scorpios. I have a lot of friends who are Scorpios. One of my favorite collaborators is a Scorpio. I love astrology because it's funny because it's weirdly so true. Like we're all so different as humans, but if you silo it down to like the core traits or whatever, and you
Mhm.
met another Scorpio and you were like, I'm like X, they'd be like, yeah. And then that's why it's funny. Capricorns are tenacious. And we're not all the same, but we're tenacious. We get stuff done. We work really hard and we like have very consistent goals. Do we screw up sometimes? Absolutely. But that's like the core of Capricorns. And if you meet anyone else, you're like, yeah, I'm not the
Eh,
same as you. I don't have the same personality, but I can see those like traits with you for sure.
yeah. And then there's Scorpios that are spicy.
Oh, yeah. Y'all are real spicy. Absolutely.
I'm very sarcastic too when I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I told my friend I was like, I know I can be sarcastic and like make fun a lot, but I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Capricorns come off like they don't care because we're very kind of stoic at times, but we care a little too much, I think.
Yeah.
But that's the perception is that we're kind of because we're to the point. We're like, we just want to get things done. Like
Yeah.
just do it. Like let's get it done.
Yeah.
We're not going to beat around the bush. Man, let's get the job done. And so we come off as like we don't care, but we care very deeply to like
Yeah.
it's like kind of annoying. But because I care about what people think and I care about making people feel, and that's, I get a lot of compliments of that with my company, but I just want to make sure people are taken care of. Like, I think ahead on like even where I'm housing people, like what I can offer them. Like, can I even buy them a meal? Is that going to make something a little bit easier for them as they're traveling all the way into this small place I live? So
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely top of mind for me as I
Oh no, Scorpios, I don't care. Every man for themselves.
you'll get shit done though.
Yeah.
Give me that.
I can't believe they said every man for themselves.
Well, sometimes you gotta scoop people off the branch, let them try to fly. It's okay.
Just push them out of the nest.
You can carry everyone all the time. You have to take care of yourself too, you know?
Oh my God. Ew, I should have warned you. These podcasts sometimes get unhinged.
No, it's okay.
Eee. Ugh. So when you're starting a new project, what's usually the first thing you focus on?
Um, First thing is probably just so because my company itself, so if we're going from the perspective of my company, we are like a found space company, so we don't have a physical space. So the first thing is just scheduling the thing and then finding the right people, I guess. So, I do try obviously to focus mostly on Montana locals when I hire. But every once in a while, I have a job that I can outsource to somewhere else, which is kind of exciting, especially like
Mhm.
remote work. So I've hired a lot of sound designers from out of state, and it's fun to even like allow our artists to interact with them and to have share space with them, even though they're not here. And we do often hire, I mean, our last writer we hired was out of New York, and I actually got funding to bring him out here, which was really cool. So he got to come to and stay in Anaconda for 5 days. So yeah, it's just the silly planning stuff. And then once everything's planned as far as humans and timing and scheduling, then you can drop all that stuff off and actually focus on the art of the thing. So like what is the experience for the audience? How do we want to like present this thing? How do we want to collaborate as a group? And I'm
Mhm.
just so lucky that a lot of the people I get here to work with me really want to just help. Even when the writer came in from New York, he's like, "What do you need me to do?" And I'm like, "I
Mhm.
want you to watch your play." And he's like, "No, I'll run for coffees. I'll help with whatever." And I was like, and I just appreciate, I feel like people understand we are a startup and they really do appreciate the all hands on deck. Like they want to contribute. And I love that. There's no pretension. It's really fun to work with all these people. And so yeah, I guess it's just like the silly planning stuff first, which is not the glamorous part of any of this. Um, but it's so necessary to make sure that everyone's on the same page and then we do the thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, guess it's not really a fun answer, but acting's a little different, but I guess my company's on my frame of mind. So
I thought it was a great answer. What's something about the behind the scenes of theater that audience rarely get to see?
ooh, um, I think how long it takes to plan something. I mean, I don't know if they realize, like, even, the reading I did last night, which was two short plays, had a director, stage manager, six actors. We started planning this particular reading this time last year. I don't think they realize like how far in advance, or even, honestly, I had secured the location before the call went out for plays. So in November of 2024, we were planning for this particular reading.
Mhm.
Um, because everything has to be planned out so far in advance. Because if you're using public spaces or people's businesses for what you're doing, you really have to make sure you're honoring people's time in the right way. Because if people are, especially, are giving you a discount for space or giving you space for free, like you can't really just be like, we're gonna come in whenever we say. Like, really have to honor people if they're being kind to you. And
Mhm.
I don't think people realize, yeah, how long it takes. Because, I plan the season, I call for the plays, and then, like I was saying, I'm doing grant writing this week. I'm finding the funding. Like, can I actually do all the things I want to do? Can I find the money to make it happen? So I think if people are a regular person knew that, I mean, if you think about Broadway too, they're like, oh, this play has been in development for 10 years. Like, I don't think people realize how long it takes to get some of these things up and running. And we're operating at such a small amount. I mean, our full
Mhm.
budget is like $50,000. It's not a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think if we told people that I didn't say anything to the people in the audience last night, but if I told them that this process started like 2 years ago, they'd be like, what? What are you talking about? But yeah, I think that the planning and how far in advance it takes and how much work it is. I mean, grant writing's a lot of work. Finding the people is a lot of work to make sure that we have, also being conscientious about how we're engaging community. So for me, I really do, especially with this reading series, I end up having like 50 to 70 positions open, depending on how many people are in each of the plays. And I try to not use the same person twice. So even like being really diligent about how I'm casting things so I can get as many people involved as possible. And it just takes a lot of like work to try to like make sure you're accommodating your community, I guess. So, and I don't know if on like a big regional level or a Broadway level, those things are really thought about. But I think when you're a community-based organization, and I say community-based as in my company is professional, but I say community-based because there is a lot of professional theater companies in the middle of America that don't hire locally. And I say, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but that is true. They only bring in people from New York or LA or Seattle because they know that there's a cachet to that. But we focus on hiring as local as we can. So I think that, if you're putting a lot of emphasis on that, it takes a lot of work to make sure that that happens and that people are, engaged where you live.
So then, what's been one of the harder moments in your career, and how did it change the way you approach work like that?
You know, I my first job when I moved to Montana, was running the children's theater, the Orphan Girl Children's Theater in Butte, and um, I didn't have any boundaries with that job at all. And you're like, Jackie, your week sounds crazy. Do you still have boundaries? I actually do have boundaries around my work. When I first started that job, I had my work email on my phone. People had access to my personal phone number. I was basically on call 24/7 with parent questions, teenagers getting access to my number, which I hated, constant emails, issues with the venue we had that we would have to be dealt with morning, noon, or night. And so for me, not having a venue is kind of a luxury in itself of not having to maintain any space. I have an office, but I don't have a physical space. So, our job is when we rent a space to maintain it while we're there, but there is none of this general maintenance. I do have dreams of the Wells Fargo building on Park Street in Anaconda. So if anybody wants to buy that for me, let me know. It's only $850,000, but I didn't have a lot of boundaries around that job. And when I decided to leave the job back in 2022, after, keeping an organization alive during the pandemic and also, building back up to a live audience after several years, I was like, I want to be able to have my own company to do what I want to do, but I also want to be able to utilize my time the way I want to, because I wanted to do other jobs. I wanted to be able to take longer gigs. I wanted to be able to go and work in the summer. And a lot of those things were very frowned upon with that job. So my current company is pretty part-time for me, and it's exactly the capacity I have for. So I truly work like 15 hours a week. When we're in production, a little bit more, but I'm also paying myself a little bit more, but I pay myself per project, just like I pay my artists per project. And I think that for me, learning the boundaries of finding joy in normal life, not everything has to be work. And so I think for me, coming out of that, from 2020 to 2022 was really hard for me as an artist. I was like rethinking everything, and I was so overwhelmed, and I felt like I disappointed people, and I definitely didn't, because the company had to do what it had to do to survive the pandemic and make it safe for everybody.
Yeah.
Important. And I'll never apologize for how we had to handle things. But I think that for me, coming out of that hard place is like learning boundaries and also learning what my capacity is. Like I was saying to you, I can do two things in the front of my mind, and I have one that's tertiary. That's like, we're working on it a little bit, but it's not the focus. And and I know that now. And that was not how I operated for 6 years. I was doing as many things as possible. So, and I don't think that makes me a better artist. So, I think that's that period of time. I'm being vague because there's a lot of bullshit that is not worth talking about. But I did feel like when I started to shift my boundaries that wasn't honored, and I was like, I can't. This is not a work environment for me, if that makes sense. So. Yeah, that was really 2020 to 2022 as a human being for me was not. I think for everybody was bad, but I think it was bad as a human and then bad as like an artist. And
Yeah, I can.
Frame was important.
Yeah, and like I can imagine now too. Like, yeah, it sucked for like regular people, but then like for artists, like the whole world shut down. Broadway shut down. Movie sets shut down. Like everything shut down.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't even have work
Yeah.
for like years.
Well,
All
and you can see like engaging people and paying artists is like kind of it's like the mainstay of my like core. Like
yeah.
I writing paychecks yesterday. Ooh, I love it. I love writing a paycheck. Um, so during the pandemic, I was specifically writing grant money to pay artists. I know a lot of people paying
Yeah.
artists all over the country to do Zoom classes with my kids in Butte, Montana. You know what I mean? So I could pay some people, not a lot of money, but I did. I got money over those 2 years to pay people to lead classes for me. I was like, how can I still find a way to, and then giving those classes to those kids for free because finances are
Hmm.
weird when everyone's getting laid off and the world is really hard right now. So that was
Hmm.
one of my big things was like, how do I keep engaging these young people? And also how do I pay some friends and also friends of friends who are not working right now a little bit of money to come and engage these young people who, again, I think that was one of the best things that came out of the pandemic
Yeah.
was this, right? Us
Mhm.
being able to be here right now. And I think utilizing technology in this appropriate way in interconnecting people, because when would these kids in Butte, Montana be able to talk to, you know,
Hmm.
a Broadway actor?
Hmm.
Ever, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I just think that's it was such an important thing to do during that time. But yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, we're really far out here. Do you know where Montana is?
Not really. I
I
don't
know,
even.
right? No one does. We're in Canada, basically.
We're on the
So
other
are
side of
you,
the
though.
world, basically.
You're basically in Canada too, actually.
Yeah, we're like
Yeah,
right next to Canada, I think.
yeah, you are. I'm from Ohio, so I know.
I can drive there and then be fine.
Sure. Yeah, no one knows where Montana is. It's fine. It's a real place, I promise.
It's a magical, made up universe place.
Kind of is. We have like these bighorn sheep that are on the highway coming out of town, and somebody posted them on their Instagram story yesterday, and I haven't seen them in a while. And I was like, oh my God, they're out. I should go look. And I didn't have time to go. But yeah, my brother, he's come out here probably 5 or 6 times from Ohio, and he's always wanted to see a moose. Never seen a moose. He's decided moose don't exist. They're like a unicorn or a dinosaur. They're figmentative or they lived many years ago. And he's just decided. And then he sent me a birthday card and it said, like, it moose to be your birthday. And it had a moose on the front. And he wrote in the inside, AI generated this. Moose aren't real. And I'm like, yeah, buddy. Exactly. So yeah, he's decided they aren't real. And the boy has lived in New Hampshire. So the fact he's never seen a moose actually surprises me. So but yeah, he's just decided they don't exist. So I'm here to tell you, I'm putting it on the record. Moose do exist. They're real.
He's gonna be real upset when he finally does see a moose.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, when he gets out here next time, we have to make sure. And there's a couple hot spots you can go where you can like 87% accuracy, you will see one. But I just think he comes at the wrong time of year because in the summer it's too hot. They don't really come out during the day. They come
Yeah.
out at night, right? So
Mhm.
or at dusk. So yeah, it's just been funny because he's like he never sees one. So
Yeah.
poor buddy. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Or maybe he's just not God's chosen one. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's
Yeah.
not chosen to see it. He hasn't accepted that yet though. That's fine.
Maybe God's just like, no, not today. Or maybe not ever. We don't know.
Not ever. We don't know. We don't know.
So then on the flip side then, what's a win you're really proud of, even if it didn't come with a huge spotlight?
Um, so I am touring a show that my company Anaconda Ensemble Theater is doing this year just because people want plays, which I think is
Mm.
I think is like no one ever wants plays. They always want
Yeah.
musicals. So for people would want plays, I'm like, let's go. I do musicals sometimes though, Haley. I do. I played
Yeah.
Mrs. Wormwood and Matilda a couple years ago. So I do musicals every once in a while, but I don't direct them. But I am on a tour called State of Mind. It's a theater and public dialogue tour about mental health. It's been traveling all over the state. And one of the things that has been so exciting to me is going to even more rural places than where I am and running
Mhm.
into artists. And I tell them where I live, and they say, "Oh, there's a theater company over there. Do you know it? Anaconda Ensemble Theater?" And I go, "That's my company." And
It's mine.
they're like, "I see stuff all over the place. You guys are doing such cool stuff." And that's when I get excited.
Yeah.
Because I really don't, this sounds weird. I don't really want to be the face, if that makes sense. I love
Yeah.
the artists who are they were trying to clap for me last time. I'm like, get out of here. Clap for these guys. Like,
Yeah.
these guys are the ones who did the work. I just put the cheese out. Like, I didn't do anything. I wrote the paychecks and put the cheese out. These actors who did this brilliant work worked really hard. They're the people who are in the spotlight. So actually for people to not know that it's my company, but to have eyes on it and see people sharing stuff about it makes me so happy. Because I'm like, okay, people are recognizing that this part of the world, this really small part of Montana can be. And I've gotten even submissions from writers being like, we're in Baltimore and we keep hearing about from other writers here how cool your company is and we want our plays produced. That's the biggest win for me because I love connecting people and I love producing new plays. So when people are chattering about how it's a good space to make that happen, that makes me really happy. So yeah, that's happened a handful of times on tour, and I've been like, no, that's my company. Yay, people know about it. Because like we're almost 5 years in, and people do know about it, people don't know about it, but we're getting the name out there, and the more people we get engaged, every show we have new people who've never done a show. I mean,
Mhm.
yesterday of those 8 artists, 3 were brand new to AET, which is cool. Every single time we do a show, there's brand new people. So
Mhm.
the word's getting out, people like it. And so, yeah, but when I hear people referencing to me about my own
Mhm.
company, I get really excited because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people know we exist and I love that. So, yeah.
And like the more the word spreads, the more people will know, and then it'll spread like wildfire.
Yeah, it's been really, yeah, and that's part of the reason why I was excited when the Motherlode Theater and the Phillipsburg Opera House both asked us to come with a show, was because I think this is an opportunity, we're heading into the 5th year just for a little more outreach. Like,
Yeah.
hey, there's a thing. This is a place you can come for a matinee, get a
Mhm.
nice Italian dinner, grab a coffee, and then come see a good show. You know what I mean? Like, there is stuff over here, and we get kind of blindsided, but there isn't any professional theater within an
Yeah.
hour radius of where I am. It's truly like
Mhm.
there's nothing in this area as far as professional. There's a handful of community theaters, but for actors to work with other pros and kind of grind their teeth on this new stuff and create characters that have never been played before, there's nothing like that right in this area. So
Mhm.
that's really important to me.
So then, during quieter or uncertain times in the industry, how do you stay creatively grounded then?
That's a good question. So sometimes I do crafty stuff, just to like keep creative juices flowing.
Mhm.
Sometimes I write, or even just like, you know, explore what if there's plays that need to be read, hosting table reads of things just to like get stuff sparking. You know, I I do feel like I spread out my own opportunities with my company, so I always kind of have
Mhm.
stuff sprinkled throughout the year. So there's always something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But there's anxiety sometimes, if we're not booking or if auditions aren't coming in, that gets a little stressful.
Mhm.
I always kind of have to be like, there's just nothing for me right now, and that's
Mhm.
okay. I do really believe in my artistry, and I do really believe that this is my path because I've
Mhm.
believe me, I've tried to leave it when I've had, especially coming out of the pandemic, I was like, do I want to do this anymore? And I applied for a ton of different jobs that were not artistically related, couldn't get a single interview. So to me, that's the universe is like, you're fine. You're where you need to be. So I got a recruiting job briefly, got fired. Like they were like, we're laying people off. I'm like, wonderful. So like I couldn't even maintain a regular job. So
Mm,
I just feel like, I think we have to remind ourselves sometimes that everything really does happen the way it's supposed to happen, even if we can't see it
mhm.
in the moment. And as woo-woo as that sounds, but I do feel like it's true. Like there's been times where I'm like, ooh, I really wanted that job and couldn't figure out why it didn't pan out. And then something even better came up. So
Mhm.
I guess I just have to believe that if things are slow, they're slow for me to take time to just rest and regain energy and reframe myself
Mhm.
so that if something comes up, I can be in the right frame of mind to take it on. So I
Mhm.
guess that's just the way I look at things. And honestly, I think that I've starting to value rest, which I feel like
Yeah.
is hard in this industry.
Mhm.
So when I have a week when I don't have a lot, yeah, I'll get a couple things done during the day, but in the evenings, I'm watching movies with my husband. We're going on walks with our dogs. We're going out to dinner, finding time to make quality time and also finding time for myself to rest because I
Mhm.
feel like when we're going hard, we're going really hard. And
Yeah.
so moments of rest are important. And I think it's okay to rest.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we do forget that. But it really is. And it's so necessary because if you don't rest, your body's going to make you rest, and that's worse. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
because I don't know
So,
about you, but in the past like 5 years, if I've gotten sick at all, I get really sick and I'm down
oh
for
yeah.
3 or 4 weeks.
Oh,
So I'm like, we just need to stay healthy.
no, I'm like the same way. If I get sick, I'm like a baby about it and just like down, down, put it out.
Yeah, like for weeks, I'm not. And that didn't used to be how it used to be. I feel like when I was in my late teens, early 20s, like I get sick for like a day or two, but I feel like I don't know if it's just, you know, I don't know what's happening with the world, but yeah, now
Mm.
if I get sick, I'm down for a couple weeks. So it's like it's better for me to like maintain myself and keep my energy when I'm in these off times. So I guess
Mm.
I don't stress too much about it. I just try to use it as a moment to like
Yeah.
move my body in a good way, but also like really rest, which is nice.
Mm.
Sleep in a little bit. I like sleeping in.
Yeah. Then for artists listening who are trying to break in right now, what's something you wish they'd give themselves more grace about?
How long it takes? I think that sometimes if we don't see immediate, this is not a regular job. A normal person will get out of college and apply for 10 positions, interview for five, and get one, right? Maybe get two offers. Last year, I submitted for, and I know this because I just did my audition wrapped on TikTok. I submitted for almost 900 jobs. I got 120 interviews or auditions, and I booked five. It's constant, right? And it's not like every other job. You can't the metrics of it aren't the same. You're submitting for hundreds of jobs a year and you're only getting the opportunity to be seen for a handful. So I think that giving yourself grace and understanding that like even an audition is a win, because as
Mm.
someone who's been on the other side of submission platforms, we get thousands of submissions. So if your profile is being picked out to even audition,
Mm.
that is a huge kudos. Like you got through the first step, which is like super hard because there's so many faces and so many brilliant people, and there's a
Mm.
lot of really good actors. So I think that's the one thing. And also like don't underestimate, we say, well, I don't need school, I don't need all these things. I'm not saying you need a degree, but you just heard me say I'm starting a class Monday. I do have a degree, and I've
Mm.
still put myself in class every once in a while to shake things up, get a new perspective,
Mm.
hear from someone else. So don't underestimate and don't like kill yourself financially to do it. But if you see something that feels like it could be something that might shake something up for you,
Yeah. Mm.
but it feels scary. It feels scary. You probably should do it because I'm
Yeah.
really scared about this class actually. So, giving yourself grace and how long it takes, but also giving yourself permission to shake things up when things feel stagnant. Because this is really, it's hard. And yeah, I feel like a lot of young people, they come in and they're like, well, if I don't book something within 6 months, you might not,
Mm.
you know? I'm lucky that I do have periods of time, but I mean, there was a period of trying to think. I think I had like a 2-year period between my last two film
Yeah.
bookings. And then this last one was like 9 months. But like it's never consistent. And,
Mm,
there's no way to really pinpoint there's no pattern. Like it just doesn't, none of it makes sense. I think
mm,
that's the big thing. None of it makes sense at all.
yeah.
It's so based on individuals and it's so based on volume and it's so based on just keep going. And that's why they say it's like what do they say? Like tenacity, luck, and talent. And like talent
Mm,
is like the bottom 10% of it is like you just have like being in the right place at the right time, keeping at it, and then also your talent will shine through eventually. If you really love it, stick with it and things will happen for you. But yeah, it's not
mm,
never consistent. Some years I've had great booking years. I made a lot of money. And then I remember, I think 2022, I think I got only the only money I made that year was residuals from a TV show, and it was like $73. And I was like, cool, cool, cool. Like,
mm,
what do you do? Like, if you love it, you just have to keep going. So yeah, give
mm.
yourself permission to understand that it takes a long time. So this will be 17 years I've been working
Yeah.
professionally. It's a long time. And I'm still only a household name in Anaconda, Montana. So, and that's okay. I still love that. So,
Mm. Is there a piece of advice you were given early on that you still think about today?
mm. So when I first left university, I went to New Orleans, which seems like a really weird first step, but I had a good friend down there and she was doing a lot of cool theater work. And I love New York because my whole background of my theater training is in new plays. I actually got to go to the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh twice with new horror plays. So and premiere them and workshop them. And so it's kind of deeply ingrained in a lot of what I do. And she's like, we're doing so many cool things and I love this. Like, come down here. And I was like, okay. So when I finally decided I was ready to go to New York, the last show I did before I left New Orleans was Steel Magnolias for the first time at the Bayou Playhouse, literally on the bayou outside of New Orleans,
Mm,
alligators like floating by the theater. It was hilarious. I loved it so much. I think that theater got destroyed during a hurricane. I know that the person who gave me this advice is no longer with us, but he made a big impact on me. And we were talking a little bit about me moving, and he said, just remember your art costs something. You wouldn't step into the Met and take a painting off the wall.
mm,
And I said, and there's several things that can mean. Obviously, compensation for your work is so important, but also looking at like the global view of that, right? So like I always think of each job offer as a triangle. So dream part, career advancement, and monetary. So if
mm,
two of those things on that triangle match the job, take the job. So even if it's just career advancement and dream role, but the pay isn't good or any at all, if you have the time and capacity to do it, do the part. You know what I mean? But when he said that to me, after kind of 2 years of really scrimping and doing a lot of things that weren't very high quality for little or no money, I was like, I think I needed to hear that going into a bigger market because it gave me a little bit more, little different view of what I was applying for and what I would settle for, if that made sense.
mm.
So, yeah. But he said that to me, Perry Martin. So yeah, he passed away a couple years ago, but he was a really it was a really, I think doing that show right before I left the first market that I worked in was super. I needed to meet him to hear that so
Mhm,
that I could go on to the next portion of my life. So,
mm. So then, looking ahead,
mhm.
um, what kind of stories or projects are exciting you the most right now?
So gosh, I think that I'm interested in producing plays by queer writers and women of color. That's first on my mind. I also am interested in plays that showcase political inconsistencies in a way that
Mhm.
is palatable, if that makes
Yep.
sense. I think that sometimes we need to meet audiences where they are We want to hit
Mhm.
them on the head, but we also want to share the message in a way that can resonate.
Mhm.
So that's interesting to me. We kind of did that with the show last night. We had a huge piece about deforestation and environmental protection. And, some people say that's not political, but it is highly political, especially in Montana, as people are selling off public lands for businesses to build on. So, but the play was presented almost as an, allegorical fairy tale. And these people weren't real, and
Yeah.
they almost spoke in a Shakespearean way. And so, and that was presenting this issue in a way that, in my opinion, was very palatable to the masses. It wasn't like, we don't like things being built. It was like a girl who has a garden with birds and like her talking to her birds, but then this guy coming in and saying, well, this tree is on my property line. It's got to come down. And then she's like, well, the birds that I love built their nests in this tree. And it was just in such a way that even a kid could understand it. But I love plays like that. I think that
Mhm.
we can reach people in that way. That's really exciting to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, and I'm pretty sure you know who he is. Do you follow Broadway Bob on all your socials?
Um, the name sounds familiar. I don't think I follow him, but I will.
Yeah, he's out of Chicago, and I'm producing one of his plays next season.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so he had posted an Instagram story about how he had sent his play to some New York producers and how they said it wasn't Broadway material or whatever. And I was like, send me your play. I'm not scared of anything. And I loved it. We did a table read of it, and he did some rewrites. And so now we have a night of short plays that are going to be fully produced that all take place in the same location that his play took place in. So we can do a unit set and present these three new plays there. So yeah, I'm
Mm.
producing the Broadway Bob, who has like a lot of followers on TikTok. Like I feel like 100,000 followers on TikTok right now. So um yeah, he's a mainstay, and I just became like parasocial friends with him on social media. And then finally, I'm excited to produce his play over here. But that's, yeah, it's really, so I just want to, I also just am interested in what people are observing. And as I get new play submissions, and we'll be opening up submissions middle of January for new short plays for this next series,
Mhm.
I'm always just interested in what people are noticing and what they're
Yeah.
observing. And it comes through thematically. You get plays that are all kind of in the same genre or the same themes, and I'm always interested to see like what's coming up for people. And
Mhm.
so and that kind of informs me as to like what might be important to talk about too.
Mhm.
Because writers are observers, and then they put it on paper. So it's fun to see what they're observing, and
Mhm.
sometimes things like that aren't even in my periphery. So yeah, but
Mhm.
I'm excited to see what comes out. So yeah, we're revising a play from our first season that no one saw because we were so little. We're going to redo it, and then we'll be producing three short plays fully, and then, eight other plays, part of my series as readings. So
Mhm.
a lot of new plays next season.
Yeah.
11 new plays will be produced. It's a lot.
Well, that answers my next question is
Oh,
like about are there any upcoming things that you're working on? So
hmm.
that answered that question.
Yeah, so right now that's like actually announced. Anaconda Ensemble Theater will be in Butte, Montana, February 13th and 14th with the rope trick. And then in Phillipsburg, Montana on March 21st, also with the rope trick. And then we haven't one more reading our season's like May to May. It's just the way
Mhm.
the taxes went. But we're doing one last reading this year in the Revolver, and I was handed a hard copy of a new play by a Missoula writer, Sean Gant. She's amazing. From her friend at my event last night. I've never had a writer like try to get a hard copy to me of a
Yeah.
play. So I was like, she handed it to me, and I was like, ah. I was like, this is so wonderful. And there's a lot of people who have worked on her plays before, and I just handed the play around, like, just read the title of this and who wrote it. And they're like, brand new Sean Gant play. I'm like, brand new Sean Gant play. It's happening. It's here. It's in Anaconda. We're doing it in April. I'm also on tour with my play State of Mind. It's not my play, but the show I'm in, State of Mind, from February through April. It should be going through the fall again, but all that depends on funding. And then I'm doing a stage reading of a play that I wrote in a residency on February 27th in Missoula. It's called Women of the West, and it
Mhm.
is a piece of it's a small part of a longer play that I'm starting to work on about women in Montana politics and how they have
Mm,
shaped politics past Montana.
mm,
The piece that I'm doing features Belle Fligelman, who is a Jewish activist out of Helena.
mm,
And so yeah, I'm doing a stage reading of that at Bob's Your Uncle, which is a art gallery in Missoula, part of like a closing ceremony for this month-long event. So yeah, a couple things coming up. It's exciting. It was fun coming into this year and already having some things on the calendar. So
yeah.
feeling excited. I'm also like pumped about like the fact that past May I don't have anything. So like what does that look like? So much open real estate for fun things, right?
Exactly.
That's how I look at it. I'm like, ooh, the calendar's open. Let's go.
So then, these are some last few questions. If you could dream up your perfect next project, with no limits, what would it look like?
I would finish Women of the West and I would tour it. Um, and the way Women of the West kind of looks, I always picture it as like, did you ever see, have you seen a production of Peter and the Starcatcher, or did you see the
Mm-mm.
Broadway production?
No.
So the way they typically build that set is it's very like things on the set can move and it's found space and like, a piece of rope and can become several things kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
And the piece is meant to be like a storytelling piece, but things on the set can be other
Yeah.
things as well. So I would finish that play, workshop it fully, and then I would
Mm,
tour it on state because it truly is, I think, a piece that could fit. It's meant to be like really loose. And then I'd tour it on the state in Montana and share with people some of this like lesser known history of Montana women. That's what I
mm,
would do. If money was no object, I would just finish the project. But I've been doing it slowly because I'm trying to get into more residencies to finish the project. But yeah, because I'm like, I know myself and I will get sucked into doing it and like not focus on things I need to. So I really don't touch it unless I'm in like a space to be able to touch the script. That sounds really odd, but I'm trying to like focus on what my actual responsibilities are. But in downtime, I look at it. But yeah, that's the project I'd do if money were no
mm,
object.
mm.
Finish it and then take it to Broadway.
I hope it goes to the Broadway one. You should do that actually. Take it to Broadway and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it could be a Broadway show, it could be an off-Broadway show. It would be a great fringe show. Yeah, it came to me one day. I was like, there's so much misinformation about Montana and what this place is.
Mm,
And from the outside, and looking at a voting map is not the whole story, if that makes
mhm,
sense.
mhm,
This place is really lovely and it's full of a lot of um, wonderful artists and also a lot of women who have really impacted the whole United States as far as like policy and stuff like that. So that's why that's been super interesting to me. And so yeah, we'll see. Well, you can have me back on if I make that happen.
I'd love to have you back on if that happens, or if anything else happens. Then a few fun a few fun light questions. What's a theater fun fact about you that fans might not know?
Theater fun fact. Oh, I would be in the show You're in Town 100 more times. I'm dying to play every single part. I've played Little Sally, but I would play any part in that show. If anyone wants to cast me at all, community theater, I could be with your high schoolers, I could do your university, I can do a small regional. I don't care. I will do that. I love that show so much. I would do it 100 more times. There's no limit to how many times I would do You're in Town. I've only done it once, but I will do it 100 more times. I would never
Well,
get tired of that show. And
I've
also
never
it
seen
just
it.
the themes become more potent as the years
Yeah,
go on. So
yeah.
I just feel like people should just be constantly producing your own town.
Never seen it though. I've never seen it.
Oh, it's so, have you ever listened to it?
No.
I'm gonna challenge you. That is your challenge to listen.
Okay.
It is really good and And if you look at who's in it, you recognize most of the cast from the original cast. It's
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay.
It's Hunter Foster plays the lead in it. I mean, on Broadway. It's Sutton Foster's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
hmm And he's all over the place. He comes out and directs in Colorado. Literally all over the place. But it's a great cast recording. It's such a good show. It's fantastic, and it's definitely worth a listen.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'll listen to it after this. Uh, if someone finishes this episode and wants to dive into your work, where would you tell them to start?
Yeah, so if you're interested in kind of what I do with my company, we're at Anaconda Ensemble Theater on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, but TikTok is like Lucy, it's not as well formed. We definitely are on Instagram and Facebook. And our website, anacondaensembletheater.com, is where I post casting calls and also calls for plays. Like I said,
Mhm.
I'm producing 11 new plays this year, and 8 of them haven't been decided. So we do produce a lot of new work. We do try to keep stuff regional, but then if we're not getting quite what we need, we open it up to national quite often. So we're engaging artists from all over the country in that way. We're also doing some workshops coming up this spring as well, which will be super fun.
Mhm.
For me, I'm at Jackie F. Vetter at Instagram, and my TikTok is Theater. It's THE8RE, because I was trying to be incognito during the early pandemic. But that's also hilariously what my license plate says as well. And it's what I wanted my whole life. I wanted a vehicle
Goals.
plate that says theater on it. And
That's
so,
goals.
yeah, so that is where I am on Instagram. You can keep up with me there. And yeah, yeah, that's kind of where you can find me. I post a lot about what I'm working on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok's a little bit more personal and kind of in your face. Instagram's more like, these are things that are happening. And that's how I'm kind of connecting with people. But yeah.
Mhm. And then to wrap up here, when you think about theater and the community around it, what makes this world feel like home to you?
Mm. It's just that shared connection. And I think people cringe at this phrase, and I've heard it quite a bit on a couple podcasts, people cringing about it, but it's sharing story, right? So
Mhm.
doing that and storytelling together has always been how people have communicated, and I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. That's what grounds us in wanting to connect in that way.
Mhm.
I also do truly believe that storytelling in any capacity inherently creates empathy, because you're getting different perspectives of other people. And I think that's why it feels like a big hug, is you're finding new perspective and you're
Yeah.
learning about people, and that's what makes us feel connected, when you learn
Mhm.
about the people directly next to you, or also just communities you don't know much about.
Mhm. All right. One more time, where can we find you?
Yeah. My theater company, Anaconda Ensemble Theater, you can find at Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Anaconda Ensemble Theater. And me, Jackie Vetter, you can find on Instagram at Jackie F. Vetter, or TikTok at Theater, which is THE8RE. And that is where I'm located.
All right. Um, Thank you, Jackie, so much for coming on. I loved this interview so much. I
Well,
didn't know that we follow each other so like on TikTok, so I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so I'm glad we got it set up.
yeah, thank you, Haley. I appreciate you
Mm.
reaching out. And yeah, this was super fun. What a great way to it's Saturday morning for me still. What a great way to spend a Saturday morning.
Yeah. It's Saturday afternoon for me, so
I guess it's just afternoon. It's
yeah.
15 minutes after the afternoon.
Yeah. Um, and I will leave all her links down below, so go ahead and follow her everywhere. Um, and well, with that being said, we're off, and I will see you Eternal Stars later. Bye, guys.